So somebody just commented in the chat, I wouldn't like to have to judge this competition, because what an extraordinary selection of poems we've heard over the last hour. What a range, how much humanity, but somebody had to do it. And we were absolutely honoured this year to have Rebecca Goss as our guest judge. I've been a big fan of her work. I persuaded her to come and read in the Live Canon reading series recently, and then got brave and asked if she would then judge our competition and join the list of the many wonderful poets that we've had the privilege of involving in this endeavour. And if you're not familiar with Rebecca's work, I'm going to put a link in the chat in a moment so you can go away and explore it. And also, in particular, I'm going to put a link to one of my favourite things, which is Rebecca's page on the Poetry Archive, where you get to hear her work out loud, as we've just heard so many poems just now. It's a real treat. And if you, when this ends and the Zoom call goes and you press the red button and feel a bit bereft, that's what I suggest you do to continue your poetry evening. So I'm going to share that link with you in just a second. And now I'm going to hand over to Rebecca.
Oh, thank you, Helen. You're so lovely. And you're so good on your feet at these things, and you make everyone feel so welcome. Thank you. Hello everyone. I am just juggling my camera because you're not allowed to see all the chaos that is that way, but I just want to say someone said they felt a bit emotional, and I do feel a bit teary-eyed having listened to all those poems that have I obviously feel I know quite well, having read them lots and lots of times. And I just want to congratulate absolutely everybody on writing the work, and thank you for sending it to me. And you should all feel extremely proud of yourself to see your work now in print in that wonderful anthology. But it's been so great to hear them. I've really loved that, to hear them spoken by both the actors and the poets themselves. And I've really enjoyed the chat. I'm rubbish at Zoom on the chat. I'm terrible. I'm not very good at keeping up, but I've loved the chat. And I've really liked sort of reading and thinking, yeah, I was right about that one. Yeah, that was a good one. Because it is a really lonely business, this judging thing, sitting in your room and sort of living with and getting to know these poems, but you don't talk to anybody else about it. Of course, you just think about it for a long time, carry them with you. I really did enjoy the judging process though, and one thing I wanted to mention is I read them all during the heat wave. I really remember judging them. It was very, very hot, but I was reading poems with lots and lots of cold things in. There just happened to be a lot of cold stuff. So there was a lot of snow, a lot of wolves and foxes and bears, and it really cooled me down, and I really liked that. And my favorite wolves and bears and foxes made it through to this evening. It was nice to see them. So thank you for that. So yeah, just again, congratulations. I'm a big waffler. Anyone who comes to my readings know that I waffle a lot. So I am going to cut to the chase, but I do just once again want to say thank you to everyone for sending poems for me. Congratulations again, and great that you're going to be in the anthology, and lovely that so many are here this evening. So there were two poems that stayed quite close to the top. I don't know, I hate saying first prize because somebody's right, you are all winners, but yeah. So so I have a highly commended and I have a winner. And the highly commended poem, and it's interesting because I think they're very different poems, but they stayed very close together and with me all the way through, very different. But anyway, the second prize, the highly commended poem goes to Matt Honer, and I hope I have pronounced that right, for that wonderful title, and I am going to say it in full because I do like a long title. A trumpeter in Sumy plays the Ukrainian national anthem during the Russian invasion, while in Baltimore we hold a bake sale. So huge congratulations to Matt for that. I can't quite, there are so many faces in front of me, I'm trying to find you, but I just wanted to say how I felt it was a really important poem and a very strong and impassioned poem, but I like the amount of that you got so much information into it, weaving the personal with the political really seamlessly, but also in it was all packed into those really sort of tight, those long but tight couplets. You took us to multiple places with multiple images. And how do you do a very, very big thing, like write about war when you're maybe not experiencing it yourself? But I think you were able to take us right in there to something that felt a very real experience. So I want to thank you for that, Matt. And of course, the war, when I was reading these poems, the war was very much at the forefront on the news. And then, of course, all this time later, it still is. So it's a very important poem for now, I think. Thank you. And I believe you have a poetry collection coming out next year, Matt, with Salmon Poetry. So there you go, I've given that little plug. But I look forward to reading that myself. So congratulations to you, Matt. And the winner for me, and it was really, really hard choosing, but I chose this poem because the first time I read it, and then each time I went back to it, I fell in love with it again for its very, very tender address. That's the thing that really stood out. And the winner tonight is Anthony Mayer for his Poem for Frank O'Hara. And so congratulations. And I want to say it again. So a very, very different poem. Yes, well done, Anthony. A very different poem, but again, a poem that took us to lots of different places. And there's something that wanted me to I wanted to sort of draw attention to the deceptively simple poem, really, that but it's all written, for those of you who can't see it, it's all one stanza. There's no full stop. It's one of those kind of what I call one breath poems. You just keep going. But it took us to all these different places, and we were in and out of the narrator's head, the speaker's head, and Frank's life. And I loved the way it just felt heady. And it was lovely to read, that mix of sort of real life and fantasy. And but I felt very transported in every line. There was such a lovely image in every single line, and there was a sadness and a joy working at the same time all the way through, and I thought I really admired that. But what I also particularly liked is that it was a poem about our love for writers, our love for other poets, and that maybe we would all love them to come crashing through our double glazing one night and come and talk to us. And I loved it for that. It made me think of the love that we carry for writers, and that, of course, is one of the reasons we're all writers. And but it was very, very touching. And I just read, I don't know if you know, Anthony, Andrew Sean Greer's work. I really love his novels, and I just finished Less, and then I read your poem, and I was in that kind of zone. But it really, I just felt that similar sort of tenderness, a real warmth to the people I found in Poem for Frank O'Hara. So huge congratulations to you and to everybody here. And I've really, really, really enjoyed the evening. Thank you very much for having me. Oh, you're still muted, Helen.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And Anthony, I'm just warning you, I'm about to pull you onto the screen, so make sure you're decent. And I'm going to pop you on the screen so we can all applaud you thunderously. Are you ready? Here we go. Congratulations!
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I'm completely overwhelmed by this because it's the last thing I was expecting. I've been going through a very dry patch poetry-wise recently, and well, I can hardly believe it. I'm weeping.
I'm really sorry, and equally quite delighted to make you cry, Anthony. And I think all of us would now love to hear that poem again. So I'm going to give you a choice, Anthony. Would you like to read it, or would you like me to ask Leon to do the honours?
Get Leon, because I haven't got the text in front of me.
That's a good reason. So, thank you so much, Rebecca, for judging with such attentiveness and attention and care and joy and love for all of those poems. I felt they were in such extraordinary hands when I sent them to you. And thank you so much for speaking so eloquently about that process as well. And of course, I love all the poems in the anthology, that goes without saying, and they're all going to be enjoyed and shared. You have to have a winner of a poetry competition because that's how they work, right? But it really is true to say that there's so much that's wonderful in this anthology. So thank you to everyone for being here. I'm going to hand over to Leon. He's going to read that poem again, and then we're going to toast the anthology into its existence and set it free into the world. So over to you, Leon. If you're standing by as well, ready to be dragged onto the screen, here we go.
This is Poem for Frank O'Hara by Anthony Mayer. Frank, that buggy on Fire Island came hurtling from the dark as fast as a hoodlum's fist. No time to be scared. The dance bar music still in your ears. And perhaps as you wait for the cab they called, you're thinking of a poem with Chinese fortune tellers in, storks and garbage men, and saxophones, or perhaps that blonde guy in the bar who gave you the eye. Help me bring excitement into this poem, like a juggler, say, a dancing elephant, or even you, crashing through my double glazing this summer night and asking for a cocktail, a Manhattan or Negroni, before you take me in your arms like you took that blonde guy, and carry on as if the buggy had been a passing seagull or a dog that cocked its leg, rather than a bolt of lightning aimed at you by some malicious god. But would your visit be followed by a life of bliss in your apartment? Or would you pat my cheek in your usual charming way, then leave to join the waiting cab and the friends I'd never meet, the night breeze ruffling your shirt, without seeing the buggy that will put an end to all of this? The parrots, jujubes, and the waving palms.
Thank you, Leon. Thank you to Anthony for that brilliant and beautiful poem, and thank you everybody who is here. So the anthology will be going out into the world tomorrow, which is very, very exciting. It's a beautiful, beautiful book, and I'm very, very proud of it. Please help. We are a small independent publishing company. You all know what that means. We have no resources, no budget, and just a lot of love for poetry and a will to make things happen. We certainly don't have a marketing department. So if we could rope in the 94 of you who are currently on this Zoom call to that task, I would massively appreciate it if you could go forth and spread the word. If you enjoy it, please tell people, gift it to people, send it to people, talk about it, sing it from the rooftops, carry copies of it ostentatiously with you on public transport, whatever you need to do to please get these 50 extraordinary poems out there into the world. We would really, really appreciate it. So should you have a glass to hand, I'd ask you to raise it in a moment to the 2022 anthology and it heading out into the world. Here we go, to the anthology. And thank you very much once again to all the poets who are here tonight, all 50 of you that are here. We are really, really grateful. Thank you to Rebecca Goss for her beautiful and careful and judging. And thank you to Eva, Leon, Nicole, and Charlie for reading so beautifully for us tonight. Thank you to Anthony and to Matt for your winning poems, which will be trumpeting out into the world.